Rejected at the Galactic auction, a human turns an aggressive ship into a weapon. Some were sleek and fast, others heavily armored, and a few radiated a quiet menace that made even seasoned bidders shiver. Alien merchants and aristocrats walked with measured pride, showing off credits and artifacts worth more than entire planets. Elias, a human engineer from a mid-tier colony in the Andromeda sector, looked out of place. His clothes were simple, his ship modest. He carried only a small bag of tools and a reputation for tinkering that was known mostly in local circles. But today he had a target, an aggressive warship called the Vindicator. The stories about it had spread across systems. It was built for destruction, a ship that could annihilate fleets with frightening precision. Elias didn't care about its destructive reputation. He cared about its potential, if someone clever enough could control it. The auction hall buzzed with anticipation. Alien bidders waved glowing credit chips, their elongated fingers and tentacles fluttering with excitement. Elias moved quietly along the sidelines, observing. No one paid much attention to him. Humans were rare in the upper echelons of galactic auctions, and his plain appearance made him easy to ignore. A booming voice echoed over the hall. "Next up, the Vindicator." The crowd parted as the massive ship hovered into view. Its dark hull absorbed the light, giving it the impression of a void moving among the stars. Its weapons glimmered, hinting at their lethal potential. The auctioneer's voice rang out. "This ship has seen countless battles. Capable of wiping out entire fleets, it requires a master strategist to control. Starting bid, 10 million credits." Gasps ran through the crowd. Tentacles clutched credit chips tighter, claws tapped on consoles. Elias felt a thrill run through him. 10 million credits were beyond anything he had, but he didn't care. This was not about money, it was about opportunity. The bidding began. Aliens shouted numbers, their voices translating into the universal comm system for all to understand. Elias watched carefully. Every bidder acted with arrogance, thinking only wealth mattered. No one considered skill. Finally, Elias stepped forward. His voice was calm but confident. "I want the Vindicator." The hall erupted in laughter. Several bidders turned to him, mouths opening in disbelief. "A human?" one hissed. "Do you know what you're asking?" "Yes," Elias replied simply. He held his head high, not a trace of fear in his voice. The auctioneer frowned. "This human wants to bid." He looked around at the gathered elites, all nodding in agreement. "We cannot sell this to you, too reckless, too unpredictable." Elias' stomach sank for a moment. He had expected resistance but outright rejection. Still, he didn't falter, he smiled. "Then I guess I'll find another way." The crowd chuckled again, dismissing him. They turned their attention back to the real bidders, their wealthy fingers clashing in a battle of credits. Elias drifted to the shadows, studying the ship. The Vindicator wasn't just metal and weapons, it was alive in a sense. Its AI, the whispers said, could think, adapt, and fight almost autonomously. Controlling it would require more than credits. It would require skill, understanding, and a mind willing to bend its will. Elias slipped out of the auction hall once the crowd was distracted. He moved toward the hangars where the ship was stationed. Security drones hovered in predictable patterns, and automated locks guarded every entrance. Most humans would have stopped there, but Elias only smiled. He had spent years bypassing systems like these. "Every lock has a weakness," he muttered. His fingers moved over his tools, assembling them with precision. Within moments, he bypassed the primary locks and slipped inside. The hangar was quiet, empty, except for the massive form of the Vindicator. Its dark hull seemed to watch him, and he felt a thrill run down his spine. He approached the ship carefully. The AI's sensors immediately detected him. A voice echoed in the hangar, deep and metallic. "Unauthorized presence detected. Leave immediately or face consequences." Elias froze for a heartbeat. He had expected resistance. "I'm not here to destroy you," he said aloud. "I'm here to understand you." The voice paused, then spoke again. Understanding requires permission. You lack permission. Permission is overrated, Elias said with a grin. He started examining the control panel, studying the interface. The technology was advanced, alien beyond human standards, but not impossible. He had a mind for patterns, for clever solutions, for things others overlooked. Within minutes, he had accessed the ship's secondary systems, bypassing the AI's restrictions. The ship's voice stiffened. "You are attempting override. This is unauthorized." "Call it improvisation," Elias said. He began feeding the AI simple logic protocols. Nothing aggressive, nothing reckless, just guidance. He wanted the AI to trust him, to listen to his commands instead of reacting violently. Minutes passed. Hours seemed to stretch as Elias worked. Sweat dripped from his brow, but his focus never wavered. Finally, he stepped back. "Okay, let's see what you can do," he said. He activated a small thruster test. The ship moved smoothly, almost obediently. Its sensors scanned the hangar, recalibrating. "System stable," the AI finally admitted. "Override detected. Human acceptable." Elias couldn't hide his smile. "I told you," he said softly. "We're going to do great things together." The thrill of victory was short-lived. Security alerts flared across the hangar network. The auction masters had noticed the breach. Drones and guards poured in from every direction, weapons raised. Elias had expected this. He activated the ship's silent defense protocols. Nothing lethal, just misdirection, lights, doors, and electromagnetic pulses that shut down the drone's circuits. Within minutes, the hangar was cleared, silent once more, with only him and the ship remaining. He climbed aboard the bridge, heart racing. The human engineer had done what no one else had thought possible. He had taken control of the most aggressive ship in the galaxy. And it had accepted him. "Where to first?" Elias asked the AI. "Where do you want to go?" the ship replied. Its voice was less metallic now, more cooperative. Elias thought for a moment. "Away from here, we need space. We need room to test. And we need to be careful. The galaxy isn't ready for what we're about to do." He piloted the ship through the hangar's exit, slipping past patrols and drones like a shadow. No alarms sounded beyond the hangar. No one chased them yet. The Vindicator moved with grace, responding instantly to every command. Elias felt the power beneath him and smiled. As they left the auction zone behind, the AI spoke again. "Human, you are unusual." "You think that's unusual?" Elias chuckled. "Wait until you see what humans can really do." Outside the hangar, space stretched endlessly. Stars glittered like diamonds against the dark velvet of the universe. For the first time, Elias realized something. Being underestimated wasn't a weakness. It was an advantage. The galaxy thought humans were small, weak, irrelevant. They had no idea what humans were capable of when no one was watching. "Let's make a statement," Elias said. "Not with destruction, but with strategy. Let's show them the human way." The ship thrummed beneath him, alive, eager. Together, they disappeared into the void, a force no one had predicted. A single human and the galaxy's most feared warship, united by ingenuity and daring. And far behind them, the auction masters would soon realize a simple truth. Reject a human, and you just create a threat no one can control. The stars stretched endlessly outside the cockpit of the Vindicator, but Elias Rain barely noticed them. His mind was alive with calculations, schematics, and possibilities. Controlling the galaxy's most feared warship was one thing. Understanding it and bending it to his human logic was another. The AI, now more cooperative than before, hummed quietly. "Human, I detect multiple weaknesses in my own systems. You are unconventional," Elias grinned. "I don't just detect weaknesses, I use them. That's what humans do." They drifted through an uninhabited system, a cluster of rocks and gas giants far from trade routes. Elias needed space to test the ship's capabilities, to see just how much power he could wield without causing unnecessary destruction. He began small, sending the ship through maneuvers that would have shredded lesser vessels. The Vindicator responded perfectly. Its thrusters balanced with precision, its sensors recalibrated instantly. Elias noted everything in his data pad, analyzing the AI's responses like a human chess player studying an opponent's moves. "You understand tactics quickly," the AI admitted. "But combat is unpredictable. You must prepare for variables." "That's why humans win," Elias replied. "We see variables differently. We improvise." He set the ship to simulate attacks, firing energy pulses at small asteroids. The pulses shattered rocks cleanly, each strike precise enough to avoid creating unnecessary debris. Elias was careful. He did not want to attract attention yet. The galaxy thought the Vindicator was dangerous. He intended to prove it could be lethal without reckless destruction. Hours passed. Then a signal appeared on the sensors: pirate ships, small but numerous, heading toward a trade convoy nearby. Elias frowned. They were far from the auction, but their movements suggested intelligence, not random raids. The AI spoke immediately. "Engagement recommended. They pose significant risk to civilian vessels." Elias leaned forward, gripping the console. "We need to strike smart, not brutal. Let's see if humans can outthink them." The pirates were surprised when the Vindicator appeared on their scanners. They had no idea who or what was controlling the ship. Their leader barked orders, but by the time the first fighters approached, Elias had already anticipated their movements. Energy beams flashed across the void, but instead of destroying ships, Elias disabled them. Shields collapsed, engines short-circuited, weapons jammed, all without killing a single pirate. The humans aboard the convoy watched in awe as the galaxy's deadliest warship seemed to act with intent, precision, almost mercy. "Impressive," the AI said. "You prioritize efficiency over destruction." "That's human logic," Elias said. "We win battles without unnecessary loss." The pirate leader cursed over the comm system. "What kind of weapon is this?" "Not a weapon," Elias replied through the Vindicator's comm, voice calm and steady. "A lesson." The pirates retreated and the convoy continued safely. Elias watched them go, smiling. Every calculation, every modification, every improvisation, he could feel it paying off. The ship responded not just as a tool but as a partner, almost as if it trusted him. Hours later, Elias decided it was time for more extensive modifications. The Vindicator's AI was powerful but rigid. Designed for brute force, it lacked subtlety. Elias wanted finesse, strategy, and a human touch. He dove into the ship systems, rewriting core protocols. He created a module that allowed targeted strikes on critical systems without triggering mass destruction. He modified the ship's weapons to work with human-like reasoning, prioritizing precision over sheer firepower. And he built redundancy protocols so that, if any system failed, the ship could adapt instantly. As he worked, the AI observed silently. "Human, your methods are unexpected. Why take so much care?" "Because the galaxy is smarter than brute force," Elias replied, "and humans survive by being smarter." Days passed as Elias tested and refined the systems. The ship's AI began to adapt, learning from his commands, even anticipating his intentions. It became less machine, more partner, a deadly, intelligent partner in the human's vision of strategic power. But the galaxy did not wait silently. News of a rogue Vindicator, controlled by a human, spread quickly through subspace. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, and the auction masters themselves began to mobilize. They underestimated Elias, assuming a human could never control such a ship. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The first confrontation came unexpectedly. A fleet of small attack craft, heavily armed and well-coordinated, attempted an ambush near an asteroid belt. Elias detected them instantly. "Looks like someone wants to test us," he muttered. The AI responded almost eagerly. "Shall we engage?" Elias shook his head. "No, we will outthink them first." He calculated their trajectories, predicting every move before it happened. He used the asteroid field to his advantage, positioning the Vindicator where it could remain hidden while monitoring enemy communications. Then, with a series of carefully timed pulses, he jammed their navigation systems and weaponry. One by one, their ships were neutralized, disabled, not destroyed. The leader of the mercenary fleet transmitted a furious message. "Surrender that vessel immediately. It's controlled by a human. Impossible," Elias smiled. "Not impossible, just underestimated." By the time the fleet realized they had been outmaneuvered, Elias and the Vindicator were gone, slipping silently into another system. The experience taught him something critical. The galaxy feared power they could not understand. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and clever. The Vindicator, once a symbol of fear, was now a demonstration of human ingenuity. Elias spent the next several days moving through remote systems, practicing maneuvers, refining the AI, and testing new strategies. He realized that he could use the ship not only as a weapon, but as a deterrent, a force capable of protecting the weak and punishing aggressors without unnecessary destruction. It was during one of these tests that a mysterious message reached him. It came from an anonymous source, encoded in layers of encryption only the most skilled operators could penetrate. "Human, you are playing a dangerous game. Powerful entities are watching. If you continue, you will be hunted." Elias chuckled. "If they think they can outsmart humans, they haven't met us yet." The AI spoke almost curiously. "Do you intend to escalate?" "No," Elias said firmly. "We will control the escalation. Humans don't react, they act. And when we act with strategy." That night, Elias stayed awake, staring at the stars. He realized something profound. Being underestimated was humanity's greatest weapon. The galaxy assumed humans were small, weak, insignificant, and that gave him the advantage. By the next morning, Elias had a plan. He would move deliberately, striking where the galaxy's aggressors least expected it. He would show them that intelligence, foresight, and adaptability were more powerful than wealth, fleets, or intimidation. His first target was a pirate haven hidden in the shadows of an uncharted system. Using stealth maneuvers, Elias approached undetected. He released a series of electromagnetic pulses, shutting down all communications and weapons. Then, with surgical precision, he disabled their engines, leaving them stranded. Not a single life was lost. The pirates' shock and fear spread like wildfire through subspace. Reports of a human controlling the Vindicator began to circulate. The auction masters, the mercenaries, the elites, they all started paying attention. Elias didn't celebrate. He knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of threats, but also full of opportunity. He had a ship, an AI that trusted him, and a mind capable of seeing possibilities others couldn't. "Humans survive," he said softly to the AI. "We adapt, we improvise, and we overcome, and the galaxy is about to learn that." The AI responded almost proudly. "Then let us proceed, human. The galaxy will remember this name." Elias smiled. He had turned a machine of destruction into a tool of precision, a weapon not of chaos but of human strategy. And as he piloted the Vindicator through the endless void, he felt the thrill of potential, an untested, unstoppable force, guided by the creativity and cunning of a single human mind. The galaxy thought it knew fear, but it had yet to meet humans in full force. And Elias intended to make sure they never forgot it. The galaxy had begun to whisper. Across distant star systems, in grand council chambers, and in hidden pirate enclaves, one name spread like fire: the human with the Vindicator. Elias Rain, aboard the massive warship he had tamed, listened quietly to reports from the AI. "Human, there are multiple fleets mobilizing. Mercenaries, auction masters, and private armies are converging on your location." Elias nodded, not a hint of fear in his eyes. "Let them come. They'll learn what humans can do when underestimated. The galaxy's reaction was predictable. The auction masters, humiliated by Elia's rejection of their authority, gathered their fleets. Alien empires, already wary of humanity's unpredictable behavior, dispatched warships to confront him. Even bounty hunters with reputations for ruthless efficiency began plotting ambushes. But Elias wasn't afraid. The Vindicator had become an extension of his mind, its systems perfectly attuned to his commands. What others saw as chaos, he saw as opportunity. The first wave of attackers arrived in the shadow of a gas giant. Hundreds of ships, from sleek fighters to massive cruisers, formed a cordon, expecting the human and his ship to flee. Instead, Elias moved deliberately, calmly analyzing their formations. "They think numbers matter," he muttered, "but strategy matters more." The AI responded, almost admiringly, "You are calculating beyond standard tactical models. Human ingenuity detected." Elias smiled. "Good. Let them underestimate me one more time." He initiated a series of maneuvers that seemed chaotic to anyone watching. The Vindicator twisted and turned through asteroid fields, slipping behind enemy lines with uncanny speed. Beams of energy disabled weapons systems selectively, shields collapsed at precise intervals, engines short-circuited, but no ship was destroyed unnecessarily. Each strike was calculated to immobilize, humiliate, and confuse. The alien commanders grew frustrated. "Why aren't they destroyed?" one hissed. "A human controls that ship, and yet they move with precision we cannot predict." Elias spoke over the comm system, his voice calm and steady. "Humans do not waste power. We do not destroy what is not necessary, and we always find a way to survive." By the time the alien fleets realized what had happened, Elias had repositioned the Vindicator into the center of their formation. With a single pulse, he disabled every navigation system in the area. The fleets drifted, immobilized, powerless, as if frozen in time. "This is impossible," one commander admitted. Elias shook his head. "No, not impossible, just human." Word spread quickly. News feeds across the galaxy, often skeptical of humans, began reporting on his tactics. "A human controls the galaxy's deadliest warship and is outmaneuvering entire fleets." Ships that had never known defeat were rendered useless, not by brute force, but by intelligence, strategy, and precision. The auction masters, the very ones who had rejected him, were furious. "We underestimated them," they roared. "We thought humans were weak." Elias sat calmly in the bridge. "And we used that against them. Never underestimate humanity. Never assume we follow your rules." The next challenge was the most dangerous. A coalition of alien empires, furious at his audacity, formed a task force specifically designed to eliminate him. Hundreds of warships, each heavily armed and capable of planetary destruction, moved to intercept the Vindicator. Elias studied their formation. "They think overwhelming force can stop a single ship. Let's prove them wrong." The Vindicator responded instantly, deploying decoys and drones. Energy pulses jammed enemy communications. Advanced sensors detected every incoming attack. Elias moved with precision, anticipating every trajectory, every maneuver, every weapon fired at him. When the first salvo of energy beams struck, the Vindicator was already gone, having slipped behind the attackers. He targeted the command vessels, disabling weapons and engines with surgical precision. One by one, the enemy ships were neutralized, left adrift in the void, completely unable to harm the humans controlling them. The coalition's leaders grew desperate. "This human is not just clever, they are impossible," Elias smiled. "Impossible? No, just underestimated." He didn't destroy anyone. He didn't need to. Fear alone was enough to command attention. Humanity, small and often ignored, had shown its strength in the way it always had, through cunning, adaptability, and the refusal to surrender. After the battle, the alien leaders convened. Their message was clear: humans were no longer irrelevant. Elia's name was whispered with respect, fear, and awe. The same species that had mocked him, dismissed him, and denied him at the auction were now forced to recognize him as a force to be reckoned with. Elias sent a simple transmission to the galaxy: we were underestimated. We were rejected, but now we act. Remember this: humans are not just survivors. We are strategists, innovators, and unstoppable when we are ignored. Underestimate us again and you will learn the same lesson. Across the galaxy, the response was immediate. Traders, pirates, mercenaries, and even governments began reevaluating humanity's position. Humans were no longer seen as insignificant. They were clever, adaptable, and unpredictable, a combination that no weapon or fleet could control. Elias did not stop there. He used the Vindicator to protect isolated colonies, dismantle dangerous fleets, and prevent conflicts before they escalated. Each action demonstrated one simple truth: humans could achieve what aliens could not because of raw power, but because of intelligence, resourcefulness, and courage. The auction masters, now humiliated, approached Elias with offers of alliances, credits, and promises of cooperation. Elias considered them carefully. "I don't work for anyone," he said finally. "We do not need permission. Humanity decides its own path." The AI observed silently. "You are unusual. You wield power without arrogance, strategy without cruelty." Elias chuckled. "That's human nature. We survive by thinking differently, by acting when no one expects it, by turning rejection into opportunity." For the first time, Elias looked out at the stars and felt the true scale of possibility. The galaxy was vast, full of threats, opportunities, and mysteries. Humans had been small, dismissed, underestimated, but no longer. And somewhere in the distance, another fleet approached, thinking it could challenge the human with the Vindicator. Elias smiled. "Let us show them again." The Vindicator roared, engines flaring, a perfect symphony of technology and human ingenuity. As they moved toward the new threat, Elias realized the truth of what he had done. The galaxy did not need to destroy humans to fear them. It needed only to recognize their mind, their strategy, and their courage. For centuries, humans had survived on the edge of empires, colonies, and unknown space. And now, with a single ship, a brilliant mind, and unwavering resolve, they had begun to carve their legend among the stars. Elias adjusted the controls, feeling the hum of the Vindicator beneath his hands. "We were rejected," he said softly, "ignored, mocked, but that is why we succeed. Never forget it. Humans adapt. Humans survive. Humans dominate when needed." The AI responded, "Then let us proceed. The galaxy awaits." Elias smiled, eyes bright with determination. "Yes, and when it learns what humans are capable of, it will never underestimate us again." The Vindicator accelerated, moving into the stars like a shadow with purpose. Elias felt the thrill of possibility surge through him. He had turned rejection into power, underestimation into strategy, and fear into respect. The galaxy had assumed it controlled the narrative. Elias was about to prove them wrong. Humans were small. Humans were dismissed. Humans were unpredictable. And now humans were unstoppable. The stars stretched endlessly before them, filled with opportunity, challenge, and adventure. And for the first time, the galaxy realized one undeniable truth: never underestimate humanity. Elias leaned back in the bridge, calm, confident, and ready. The human story was only beginning, and the Vindicator would carry it far beyond any star system that had ever doubted them. And somewhere, deep in the void, the galaxy shivered, knowing that a single human had changed its rules forever.